Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Mary. So today we're going to make this really fun graduation card. We're going to talk about masking. So if you're new to card making, masking is something that will really give you a stretch in your supplies. So I'm going to give you a couple tricks along the way and we're just going to have a good time. So I'm pulling out this scrapbook.com graduation stamp set. This font is gorgeous. The congrats and the graduation and the class, plus you get a really fun grad word here, so it's going to be a lot of fun. For masking, let's talk about the first thing. The first thing is whatever you want to be in the front of your scene, you must stamp first. So if you're thinking about that, for example, I want this hat to be sitting on top of the word grad, hanging over the A, or the R, excuse me. So if I do that, then I need to stamp the hat first. Then I'm going to mask it, and then when I stamp the word grad, it's going to lay behind the first image. So that's the first step. And if you're been card making for a while, this isn't anything new to you, but this can get tricky if you are new to this technique. I have definitely made mistakes along the way. So, all right, so then I'm going to lay down some masking paper. Now this is just some Post-it label paper or label tape, and I'm just going to stamp out. You can use the remnants of your ink. You can stamp off some new ink. Either way is fine because I'm just going to cut them out and use them. One tip I would say for masking is it can get messy. So I say that because with all the ink, and this is such a small image and you're cutting it up and your fingers are getting really inky, so I would be very careful and have like a wipe or something next to you so you don't keep picking up that ink. And we'll get into that in a second as I show you the masking of the hats up in the air. So now I'm going to lay down my word grad where I wanted it and where I want the hat to sort of sit. And then I am going to take a very light color. This is a Catherine Pooler color and it's very light, although I did want it to be a little darker. So that's another thing too. If you have light colors of ink, but you want to give variation, you can just multi-stamp. So I did that about 3 or 4 times, and now I'm happy with that because I want you to be able to see the grad, but I don't want it to overcome the sentiment that I put on. So I'm going to peel this off. Now, why am I using a tweezers instead of my fingers? Well, that's where the inky part is because I probably have really inky fingers at this point. So that's another tip. Just try to use something pointy to kind of pick it off. All right, so now I'm going to mask all the caps flying up in the air. So if I'm doing this, I am going to be I want to make it look as realistic as possible. So I'm going to flip the hats. They all wouldn't fly up in the same direction. So I'm going to flip them around. It's going to be a party of hats up in the sky. And the more I did this, the more I realized I probably didn't need to mask off as much as I did. And I say that because there's such a small image and you can kind of turn your stamp and kind of meet it from line to line as much as possible, and you would still get a full look in the air. I do think that the masking added an extra element to it, but I don't necessarily think it was necessary in this example. But I did it, and you'll see here as I'm just going through. Also, I want to apologize for the lighting. So I had my studio lights off when I was doing this video. I think I sat down to make some stuff and I didn't realize that I was wanting to record. And so I just never turned it on, and then I turned on my camera. So all information probably no one cares about. But I'm telling you because I realized almost when I was done with the card that I had the lights off. But you know what? It happens, and I still wanted to share the video with you. So there's that. All right, so then I'm going back in and I'm going to add some more. And you see how small the hats are? You can kind of just fill up the area and you don't even really need to mask. But since I was here, I had my masks ready. I thought, I'm just going to go for it. But now I'm going to pull this off and you'll see the look that you get when you do mask. And you kind of see how organic, but like how realistic it looks. Now, when you're stamping over each of the images, you're going to get more and more ink buildup. So another tip for masking is don't reuse your masks so many times that the ink starts to seep through. And I believe I do have one example here that sort of had some ink on the actual image. And I'll try to point that out for you if I can find it. Didn't matter once I colored it, but if you were going to color these like a really light color, that might be a problem. I kept all of this portion in here of the masking. I'm not going to keep, there it is. That's the one I just pulled off. It has that little bit. So I should have stopped using that mask at that point, because I think at that point I used it like 4 times. Okay, I'm leaving all of this part in here so you can see the process as it is, but I am going to skip through and just kind of show you 1 or 2 of the things that I colored because they are all the same. I was showing Adia this card. She's my almost 12-year-old. And she said, this isn't the color of caps and gowns. I said, what does that mean? She said, isn't it blue and gold? I said, I think they're dependent on the school's colors. Just little things that, you know, you don't know that people don't know. But she said, oh, I didn't know that. All right, so here I'm pulling off my last mask, and I just decided to go in there with my finger. I couldn't get it with my tweezers, and we're done. So we have our masking. And now another tip I will give you is I kept that in my platform because of the foam underneath, and it made it easy to get a good stamped image the first time. So I would definitely recommend that because I wasn't using the stamp positioner to get perfect stamping. So it helped me give a little cushion. So these are the 3 colors that I'm using. These are my Ohuhu brush tip markers. So I am just going to lay down the first color, which is the G9. And I kept this in real time too, because I'm only coloring these 2 hats for you. So I wanted you to kind of see, because I usually speed right through the coloring. So I wanted to slow it down just so you can see how I'm doing it. So I covered it all in light, went back with the darkest and put in my shadows. Then I went back with the medium and blended that, and then the light again to blend it all together. So it's really as simple as that. And I have such a small image here, I probably could have got away with just 2 colors on there, and that would have been fine. But I had the 3 out, so I just went for it. Either way. So if you are new to alcohol markers and you don't want to spend an exorbitant amount of money on them, a full set of Ohuhu markers is pretty affordable, and I do recommend them. They're awesome. I've done quite a few videos on them. But you can also head over to my Etsy shop to pick up the color chart. That will help you a lot, because the caps, you can't really follow what the caps say. You have to kind of swatch them out. So here I'm looking at what font I want to use on my card here, and I decided to go for the Congrats. Again, gorgeous font on this. And you can use that for things other than graduation, because I used it for some gender reveal cards. Here, I'll pop that right up on the screen so you can have a look at those as well. Okay, so I have this stamped out now. I'm using Versafine Nocturne ink. I find that to be the most crisp black. Just make sure that you don't smudge it because it takes a little bit to dry. And I'm going to use some Barely Art glue here. I'm making an A2 size card, which is 5.5 by 4 1/4. And I'm just going to lay that right down onto my card base. Now my card base is Accent Opaque 100 pound, a very affordable, very good quality cardstock that I get off of Amazon. And then I'm going to do a couple final touches for this card here. So I'm going to add some white gel pen. This particular white gel pen I'm using is from Arteza. They come in a pack of 3, really good gel pens. I also like the Sakura, and I also like the Sakura, and what's the other one? The one with Uniball. The Uniball one. So I like both of all 3 of those. They're pretty good. I have my Stickles, and I am going to make my tassels shiny. So I covered all of my tassels in this really super sparkly fun Stickles. So I'm a huge fan of Stickles. I was asked recently when to use Stickles versus like enamel dots, and I don't use Stickles ever to make shapes. I use it to fill in either highlights or kind of paint it into pieces of my images. But other than that, if I'm looking for dots, I would probably use the pops of color. And that is it for our graduation card. If you can believe it, it is more than halfway through April, which means graduations are coming. Where is 2021 going? I don't even understand it. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to check out what I use, those links will be below in the description. And you can also find a Linktree link that will take you over to other social media platforms and affiliate links if you are interested. And I will see you all in the comment section below and in the next video. Bye-bye.